2014. My background's in IT, so I built servers and networks and security and stuff like that. And then so I took classes and then did stuff all online. So commercials, training videos, all the unsexy stuff, paid the bills, and mostly still do today. Yeah. But then I moved to LA in 2017 with my wife because she was full-time, and we're like, we want to do more character stuff, let's move to LA. And then we moved to LA in 2017, the rest is history.
Is your wife a voice actor as well?
Yeah, her name's Mela Lee.
Very cool.
She's goddess. Like, she's Storm in Rivals, and she's Evelyn in League of Legends. I could go on. I am her biggest fan.
But that's gotta be so fun. You get to have someone who you can bounce ideas off of, and you guys are in the same realm, but hopefully it's not too competitive between you two.
No.
It's
yeah, he was up for Storm, and
I know, like, I auditioned for Storm. I'm like, come on, I do a really good black woman voice. Can I just be another white guy to take that role? Is that okay? Maybe, just this one. Just kidding. But no, I'm very, but it's a weird business, right? Like, our entertainment business is wild. So like, we'll be watching, trying to chill after working maybe a 10-hour day, and then we're hanging out, trying to watch a movie, and then agents like, we need this now. It's like sound-alike, gotta do like sound-alike stuff for trailers or film. Right. That's always 45 minutes turnaround. So I gotta like, oh, sorry baby, I gotta go. And she gets it, and then I get it, she has to do it. If one of us had a day job where you clock out at 5, it's hard to get that when it's like ping, 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 so it's very nice.
No, it's awesome that you guys support each other and that you're both successful in your careers.
And I thought you were going to go to that place where sometimes you do watch streaming or TV, and then you'll hear a commercial and you go, oh, I guess I didn't book it.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
I've seen Friends on commercials, and I was like, I auditioned for that. But I'm happy for them, of course, you know. But it's so fun to be in voice acting. I do it as well, and there's such an importance to actual acting or having a background in actual acting, because a lot of people have misconceptions that it's just being a cool voice or a quirky character. And you said you have a theater background. Mela, I'd love to hear some insight on how much acting plays a role in voice acting.
100% of it is definitely, storytelling and acting. I do have a degree, a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I was the outstanding Fine Arts graduate and immediately decided I would never be in the entertainment industry. Went into ministry and mission work and disaster relief, and met some real estate developers, inner city real estate developers, ended up working after I finished ministry with these real estate developers and banking and developing at-risk properties. And I was really good at it, and I decided I should go to law school, but I wanted to pay off my student loans. And I had taken a voice acting class, and I got discovered on Agents Night and booked my first audition. Was a commercial audition for Teresa the brown-haired Barbie. And I booked it, and it was like $3,000 for 18 minutes of work. And I thought, at no point was I like, I'm gonna be a professional voice actor, because in my brain, who's a professional voice actor? That's not a real thing. But I thought, Mama is gonna pay off her student loans. And then I paid them off and thought, I'm gonna save up money so when I go to law school, I don't have to have a student job. That just felt amazing. And then I didn't go to law school. And then I was in a really bad car accident in 2014, and I'd maybe taken 2 voice acting classes. Well, actually, one was voice acting, and the other was for audiobooks. And had my entire career from people. I was a musician before, very good at music, and a lot of my career was in ADR voice matching, and then someone recommended me for anime dubbing and vice versa. So it's a very similar skill set, where you hear something and you have to mimic it, or you hear it in Japanese and you want to do it in English but it has a certain music to match the flaps. And it's just not something you think you're going to do professionally. And in 2014 I was in a car accident. Someone was texting and they ran a red light into my car. And I flatlined and they had to cut me out of the car. And when I woke up in the hospital, there were the producers from Bang Zoom and the sound supervisor from Breaking Bad and The Good Wife. And I just felt like Dorothy. And you were there, and you were there, and everyone was so nice. They made a schedule, so for 3 months, every single day, I had a different voice actor or friend stay with me. And because I was learning how to walk again, I was really, I fractured my neck and my back. And I had met Erica Lindbeck, she just graduated from UCLA, and she says, I want to be a voice actor. I said, I've decided me too. Because at that point I thought, I'd already had a record deal, a publishing deal. I was maybe not going to go to law school, but I thought this voice acting thing has paid for me to have the best spine doctors in the world at Cedars-Sinai. And everyone was so kind. I thought, why am I thinking I'm not going to be a voice actress? I mean, I was a voice actress, but in my brain, I come from a family of scientists and lawyers and doctors, so that's not a real thing. And so when I met Erica Lynn back in 2014, and I also met Jordan in 2014 because I decided to take an acting class, voice acting class. And everyone was like, what are you doing here? But in my brain, I wasn't anything, because in my parents' brain, like my mom was like, I'd say, I got a lead in a series, and she'd say, a real one or a cartoon? I was like, oh, yeah. So, but Erica Lindbeck, we met because someone thought it would be great to give me a birthday gift of going to see Tony Oliver, this director we all know. And he was in a production of Cabaret. And we're driving, and I'm, mind you, on a walker. Like, I can barely move. I can't sit for more than maybe 6 minutes in a chair because I fractured my lower vertebra. And so the person, we get out, and I'm like, where is this production? We're in the middle of nowhere, like a horse paddock. She's like, oh, it's Cabaret Under the Stars on the ground.
Oh, no.
And Erica and I look at each other, and the woman, and I won't name her because she's still in the business, it was the worst birthday gift ever. Oh. And so she's like, don't worry, I have a coat. So I'm in like this old lady puffer coat. And then we try to put blankets down, and I have to somehow, because I'm on a walker, like, so I'm trying to get on the ground. And I mean, we're just laughing till we're crying. And Erica Lindbeck and I became like really good friends that day. And we were talking, I said, she's like, I want to be a voice actor. I said, you know, me too. I'd like to be a voice actor. And then about a month later, she came to my house and she punched me, like Elaine from Seinfeld. She's like, oh my gosh, you're Mela Lee. And then she hit me again, you're Mela Lee, Mela Lee. And I think sometimes we need to see ourselves through other people's eyes. Because I was like, yeah, and she said, you said you wanted to be a voice actor. She's like, you are a voice actor. The reason why I'm a voice actor is I heard you in Vampire Night as Yuki Cross, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And I thought, what? Because to me, it was paying off student loans, and they give you really cool snacks. You know, there were all these benefits, but it wasn't like going to be my life. And so to see myself through Erica Lindbeck's eyes, she's like, you're already one of my favorite voice actors. And I just melted because I didn't appreciate what I'd actually done. So sometimes you're knee deep in your dreams, but you don't know it. And you have to see yourself through people's eyes that love you. And you think that would be your family, but it's not always your family first, right? And I decided to take it more seriously while I was learning how to walk again. I took a few classes. And in 2016, 2017, I booked with an agency and I booked Princess Xanda for Marvel, Lifeline for Apex Legends, Jade from Mortal Kombat, like, and then a few other animes. And now here it is, like 10 years later, and I feel like, oh, I guess I'm a voice actress, right?
Yeah.
Like, for real, for real.
It's weird.
But I used to look at Lauren Landa and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I could like be at conventions like her. And then she says, oh, I wanted to be a singer like you. And so we're all fangirling quietly and nervously. It's almost like we're in line for each other and we're too embarrassed to say how much we think the other person is so great. But all that to say, you can fall into your dreams at any time. I think I was listening to an interview of Jimmy Fallon, and this interviewer was saying a lot of people think they need to make it by the time they're 25, or it's over. And Joe Zija, Mela Lee, Jordan Reynolds, like there's this long list of people in our industry. We didn't even start until we were past 25. So you might have a dream, whether it's to be an accountant or a voice actor, and you're 48. As long as you can still talk, like you can still do those things. And I think our family members mean well, but sometimes they're like, that dream's kind of old.
Right.
You should give up that dream of writing, of drawing, of being a tattoo artist, of being a voice actor, of being a cosplayer professionally. Like right now, if there was a 75-year-old grandma who was like, I think I'm gonna be a cosplayer, if she was doing it, like we would be all about granny cosplay, wouldn't we?
Golden
like,
Girls cosplay.
Come on, right? It's just never too late. And it took me a minute, I'll just say, to find a career where I loved people I worked with. And voice acting, we all are, like, we love each other. Everybody's really nice and kind. And it's all the people you wish you'd met in high school that don't crush your dreams.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Talk about it.
No, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, it is so important to hear those stories, to hear those uplifting messages of following your dreams and falling into something where you feel seen, you know, and you feel heard, obviously, in voice acting. You've all been part of so many tremendous projects, and your voices resonate into so many people's homes and to our memories of our childhoods and shows that we've grown up with. But let's talk about Seven Deadly Sins. Yes, let's get it. That's why we're all here. Which I feel it's, you know, anime, there's so many amazing ways that they can tell a story. And I think the point of view of Seven Deadly Sins and how it's the 7 knights who, everyone represents a different sin. It's such a cool telling of...
Commandment.
And the 10 Commandments, yes, we have to talk about that as well. But let's talk about your characters. Let's talk about how you got into these roles and how you found your voice in these characters and brought them to life. And I would just love to know just your point of view of being part of Seven Deadly Sins, what it means to you. Because again, it is a big cartoon, big anime, very huge stories, a lot of great fights. I mean, just I would love to hear about your point of view and what it's being part of this project.
I remember, so I don't think I auditioned for Merlin. I think I think they just cast me as her. So throughout my career, I've played a lot of the sexy, sensual characters, very similar to what Mela plays as well.
And my wife.
And your wife, yes. Who I hope to meet at some point. And so I was, you know, I thought it was very cool, but I go into the session and Chris Kaysen was our director for the first season. And he's explaining to me who Merlin is, and I said, "Oh, cool! It's another anime character named Merlin. We've heard that before." And he says, "No. This is the Merlin." I'm like, "Oh, like the wizard Merlin?" He says, "Yeah, but it's a little different." And I said, "Oh, okay." And so she comes on screen, and I'm just like, "Oh, she is a little different. Okay." And I just thought it was great. I've always been a very big fan of the Arthurian legend and medieval times and Renaissance-y stuff. And so I love it as a show. And when the first season came out, I'll always, if I have the time, I'll try out the anime shows that I'm in. Not all of them are my cup of tea, but Seven Deadly Sins is definitely one of them. It's got adventure, it's got fantasy, it's got action, drama, romance. It's got comedy, it has everything.
Yeah.
And that's how I always kind of pitch it to people when they say, "Oh, I've never seen it." I'll always tell them, it's great, it's got literally everything in it, and it's such a clever idea. You know, behind the sins and the command. I love how the sins are the good guys and the commandments are the bad guys.
Right.
Like, I thought that was so clever. And so I love being a part of the show, and I love that it's still pretty popular to this day. So
yeah, definitely more people definitely need to see it. Let's talk about you, Jordan. I know you've voiced 2 separate characters in the show. Is that true or no?
If I did, it was like some guy who probably went, ugh.
Like Chandler and
Is that what's on IMDb?
that's what it says, yeah. And Ludo.
I definitely know Ludociel.
Yeah, and then it says you voice another character, but it's a minor character.
What was the
named
name?
Chandler.
Anyone know Chandler from the show?
It was probably an
See?
I'm Googling.
Yeah,
feel
sometimes
free.
we'll do like incidentals
Yeah.
for one episode.
Oh, it's always fun when the sorry, very quick sidebar. I'm also in JoJo for like 3 episodes, Tiziano, and that character was prominent for those episodes. But there was like one episode where it was like I think his name was like Karn, and I was excited. It's newer, and I shared on Twitter the space of love. That I'm like, hey, I'm this character, you know, Tiziano, who had a lot of lines, and then I'm also Karn, and so I'm like, that's. I don't know what I did. I don't even know.
We don't see that.
I need to go look him up. I don't know what I would
You have to remember when we're there,
like
they give
this.
us a line, and we just see the cell
Yeah.
that the line is in. We don't see the artwork until it comes out.
Yeah.
Heck, I was in Owl House, and Kikimura, she has an arc. And we did this during the pandemic, so every day was Saturday. Like, you know, you don't even know. And so there's a whole arc where she is undercover. And so I'm watching Owl House, and I was like, oh my gosh, that actress sounds like me. I wonder who she is. And I'm like, and meanwhile, and then all of a sudden she gets discovered and it's Kiki Miki. Her name is Miki, but it's Kiki Moore as Miki, and I was like, oh, it was me. Sorry. I was like, because I didn't remember.
Sometimes you don't know.
Well, talking about playing two characters at once, I was also, apparently, I don't even remember, I was the voice of Hawk's mom, too, in Seven Deadly Sins. She doesn't talk.
Right.
So yeah, she makes noises, and so I completely forgot. And I think they threw it at me. They're like, "You can play Hawk's mom." I'm like, "Cool." And then in the Four Nights of the Apocalypse, that's the spin-off series, right? Is that the name of it? Yeah. I played this big red demon guy that speaks no English. He speaks a demonic language, and it's crazy. So, but it all meshes together after a long time. So sometimes we don't remember.
No, I totally get
Yeah.
it. Like sometimes you're doing a character, and then they're like, "All right, we're not going to bring in another person to do the session, but we need this line for Guy 4."
Right.
You know, and I'm just like, "Hey," I'm just like, the
I'm
guy, you know what I mean? Like,
bratty child 1, 2, 7A, 4B. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's really
we need Walla here. Just fill in crowd, Walla. Just do something.
Yeah,
Fill it
like
in.
so many on the Twitter now. I shared like I'm this guy, and then the rando, right? And someone who literally like does this in one episode. He's like, it's the whole episode. And some troll, of course, is like, oh, so you are pretty much nobody. And I'm like, who's in JoJo again?
My mom thinks I'm somebody. Thank you very much.
It didn't. I just thought it was funny because I'm like, who are you? Anyway. But back to Ludociel.
Yes.
I don't think I auditioned either, which sounds really like, oh, I don't audit. I audition 3 to 4 hours a day. I'm not kidding. So some roles we are privileged that they just think of us and they hear our voice print and they're like, that would go good with Jordan. I was newer to LA, and I came in and I didn't know a whole lot of anime, but I could tell just the vibe, and it felt like a big deal. And I remember finding the voice, because it's always, as you all know, if you watch shows in Japanese, sometimes if you listen to the tone, when, I don't speak Japanese or anything, but the tone, the placement of it is very throaty, right? So it can sound deeper to the human ear, but it's not technically deeper, it just has this resonance to it. So when you speak in English, American English in particular, it's very forward and kind of more nasally. So I remember, I believe Ludociel probably had like a deeper voice, and I could do that. The majority of my characters for anime are like down here, or like Jason Momoa. I do Jason Momoa sound like work, and but I do.
That's awesome.
So if you want a happy birthday message from Jason.
No.
But actually, when he's kind of a bro, like when he's like his normal voice, but then when he's Game of Thrones, he's down here. Anyway, sorry. ADD. Ludociel, we were trying to find the voice, and like he's super regal, and he's like, where are his eyes? Does he ever open them? So we did it kind of more my normal voice, but just a little bit quieter, smoother, and, very regal like this, because I think we started down here, and we're like, I feel like he would be a bit more softer. It's like his long, flowy hair, the vibe, and he's not a super soft dude in his decision making, right? But he kind of wanted to present as that. So it was really fun finding the voice of the tone. And very
To see
regal.
your voice with them.
Yeah, so he's like, hello, I am here. It's Ludociel.
Oh, yeah.
So, say who is the prettiest character in Seven Deadly Sins?
It's Ludociel.
It is I, with my long, flowy hair.
That's some bragging points right there. I'm the sexiest character.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's talk about Derry.
Oh, wait.
Talking about you.
Yeah, Mela.
I'm sorry. Melascula. Well, the first email they sent me when I was cast was for a male character, and I was like, wow, you guys really have faith in my abilities. And I was like, are you sure this is my character? Like, oh, sorry, because they were doing cut and paste, like you've been cast in. And so then they sent Melascula, and they're like, no, it's Melascula. I was like, is it? Because I was like, Melascula, I love this name. And so many things in anime are like art imitating life, imitating art, because I had gone to seminary and left. But it's interesting that I'm faith, and that for me, when I went to seminary, I'm sold out for God and spirituality, and I'm a Christian, but I've had a hard time with Christians sometimes at church. I was at seminary and I was the only one who wasn't sleeping with somebody. It was really dark, and they had no problem with it. And I'm not trying to put down Christianity or God so loved the world, like all of the world, everybody. Like, I believe in that. I believe that the fact that you have a breath of life in you means that the Creator decided that you were so important to the math of the universe that you need to be here, and that my job as a Christian is to just love you. That is not everybody's point of view in seminary. You know what I mean? And so it's interesting that I get to play Faith, but she's a villain, like you were just saying. Like, the commandments are the villains. And the sins are things that we can relate to, but it's the commandments. Because faith sometimes, it's belief without seeing, but sometimes blind faith can be darkness. When people are like, well, this person said this, but they don't test it against Scripture or the commandments, it can be like a problem. And so I really appreciated that concept of the show. And anime gets deep. And I love that because it comes from Japan, like, they were immersed in Western culture kind of forcibly in the 40s and 50s. And so, you'll see a lot of these Catholic schoolgirl uniform, they're fascinated with the chalice and the Arthurian tales. And I love that we get to see our Western culture through Eastern eyes. And they see it as it is, not as we hope it would be. And so there's just such beautiful storytelling to see who the villains are. And we all think we're the hero, but we're the villain in someone else's story. But I also appreciated Melascula. I don't know if anyone's seen Seven Deadly Sins, or you guys are here because there's light air conditioning. But there's a scene where she gets drunk. And I left seminary, and when you're working with the Salvation Army, disaster relief, and different types of ministry, it's not that they're against drinking, but you could be called at any minute for a disaster or a death, and you can't be like high or drunk. You know what I mean? You've got to be like focused. So definitely spent most of my 20s completely dry. And I went to visit a friend in Germany and was drinking for the first time, and they have cobblestone roads. So it was literally like, I felt like Melascula, where she just has that where she's had too much and she's just absolutely unfettered. And I was like, yeah, I get it. That was me.
What shoes were you wearing is the question.
Oh, the wrong shoes.
Yeah.
Heels,
Cobblestone. That's what I was worried. Drinking, first time,
shoes.
Cobblestone. What
but
shoes?
I still get, Jurgen Kromlovsky, who was the exchange student who I knew. Then when I went back to visit him, and he was just having to hold me up, and it was not pretty. It was a very Melascula moment. I was like, I get it.
Well, I personally, talking about how we're kind of fangirls of each other, fanboys of each other, whichever, I personally love what you did with the character. Like, I love her voice for her. Well, it's like, I've heard your voice in many different things, Mela, and I love where you go with it. Like, absolutely love where you see. I fangirl all the time over Mela. I really do. She's like a goddess. Every time, like, I'm around her, I'm like, God, Mela, you're just, I can't. You're just it's too much, too gorgeous, too beautiful. But it's true, though. It's true. I'm not even just saying that.
She was the best one in the workshop that I was in. Hands down. We were all like, why are you here?
I wanted to take a class. It was a little awkward. I had no idea.
It was inspiring, though, too,
Yeah.
to hear like, that's a level we can get to.
Yeah. No,
You can either be jealous, like, why am I not there yet? Which
Listen,
a lot
you
of
can
actors
fail
can
forwards.
or you can use that as inspiration, or just feel like, dude, I could be that. That's possible. That's what I try to lead by, because it's a lot more healthy.
Well, and I was lucky enough to get into anime right before social media. And so, quite honestly, there was a few things that happened, and I am a multicultural girl, but I remember when Fate's Stay Night came out in 2016, and the producers were like, they'd like to take a picture with the English voice of Rin Tosaka. And no shade against them, but I walked up to take the picture, and I saw this, and as if they were saying, no, the voice of Rin Tosaka. And then my person said in Japanese, it's her, and they were like, and it wasn't a poker face at all. And I was like, oh. And then later, Zeno Robinson and a few people were talking to me, and they're like, man, you were the first leading Black anime voice actress. But when you're doing it, you're just thankful for the free food and the job. You're not thinking you're a trailblazer. And so it's really a beautiful thing. You're just surviving. You're just paying bills, student loans. You're grateful for the job. It never, and I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us, I don't think it occurred to any of us when we had the jobs that it would lead to coming to
Oh,
conventions, meeting thousands of people all over the world. It was such a niche thing 10 years ago. There had been, or even 15 years ago when I started, there was no expectation.
We were here just for the art.
Yeah.
We were here for the art.
And now there's millions of people that love, you know, anime from every nation, tongue, and tribe. And I love the inclusiveness that it's like you guys in the gaming and anime and convention world are so far ahead of the game with acceptance and kindness for people on the spectrum, for people from all cultures. I love to see, like, I was a free lunch kid. And so when we see cosplay, some of the cosplayers, like, it's thousands of dollars. But when you see a cosplay that was like, listen, it was a Burger King thing and I just covered it with some foil, we're like, yeah! Everybody's so encouraging. It's like, it's the way the world should be.
I agree.
Oh yeah, like I drew, I'm the voice of Adam Warlock in Marvel Rivals, and I'm a voice artist, not a hand artist. And speaking of just acceptance, I did it as a joke, right? So I drew Adam stick figure, because that's like all I can do. It's terrible. Because I have a Discord community and there's like all these wide range of actual artists. And I'm like, hey guys, look at my Adam I put on like TikTok and Twitter. It like blew up. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's so cute. Oh my God, you're so talented. Like, it's a joke, but thank you. But the point is though, I don't think anyone shouted on it. Because I literally said, if the voice acting thing doesn't work out, I'm very dry in my humor. Yeah. So I think a lot of people didn't quite get it, which is fine. But the point is the fans like you and everyone are just so supportive because all of us, what the hell is normal? You know, I'm not gonna go on a rant, but like, there's really no normal anymore. Yeah. Like normal is kind of conformed through media and stuff like that. But up until like the last like 10 years, like we're all just weird in the most beautiful way. And that's what I love about these conventions and us artists are really weird.
Speaking of not being a hand artist, I also cannot draw to save my life. And I have kind of a minor anxiety attack every time someone's like, would you mind like drawing something for me? I'm like, you don't want me to do that. It's gonna ruin the...
Let's play Pictionary. No.
Yeah, right. Seriously, people will ask me, with the Seven Deadly Sins theme, people will ask me, so Merlin's sign is the boar, because she's the boar sin, a boar sin of gluttony. So they tell me, or they ask me, can you draw the boar? And I'm like, do you want me to ruin this? And they're like, no, I think it'd be great. I'm like, yeah, great for you, but and then 9 times out of 10, if they ask me to free draw it, which sometimes I say, can I just please trace it, you know? But if I draw it like with a free hand, it looks like an anteater. I get the nose wrong every time. It's an anteater, and I'm like, it looks like an anteater. And people are like, but it's great, it adds to it. I'm like, you're crazy. Yeah. You're so sweet, but you're wrong. It's okay. And so whenever, you know, I'm also from another show called Attack on Titan, and when people say, can you draw the female Titan? I'm like, you don't want me to do that. So then I just draw a stick figure, literally, and just draw little strands of hair and just, you know, eyeballs and then a flat mouth because Annie never smiles. So oh my God, just I really can feel that. I can't draw. And now I know what to call it though. I'm a voice artist, not a hand artist.
But you know, you realize now that you're saying this, everyone's gonna come up and ask you to draw this. Like me,
they're gonna suffer that.
Can I have an attack? Well, thank you all so much for being here. This has been a lot of fun. Yes, any questions from the audience? Go for it.
I know this is supposed to be only for Seven Deadly Sins, but
It's what you want it to be. There's 8 people here and you own this place.
Tell us some blockbuster trivia. I love your shirt.
Thank you. I gotta ask about Attack on Titan.
Yes.
So what was it like in finally having Annie come back after being stuck in a crystal?
Girl, we don't talk about that because I was gone for like 5.5 years, 6 years. It's still a sore subject. I'm just being funny. No, it was amazing coming back. And a lot of people would come up to me and say, when is she getting out of the crystal? I would always tell them, I don't know. And every time someone would ask, it would just break my heart a little more. And finally, somebody said, hey, did you hear the news? What? They said, oh, Annie's out of the crystal. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, in the manga. I'm like, well, that doesn't do anything for me, does it? So I was very happy to come back. Very, very excited to come back.
I'd rather have that than like, yeah, they brought it back and they replaced you.
or they just didn't, or that, or I was worried that they wouldn't go with the manga because that also happens sometimes,
In Demon Slayer, in the most recent, I won't spoil it for you, there is a catastrophic event, and you're like, oh, but I have a pop. And then someone said, have you read the manga? In a way that I was like, oh, well, I have a pop. Yeah, but there's been
code now.
Yeah.
Like, have you read the manga?
Yeah, but there was another time I was doing, I got asked to speak at this like inner city school, and I mean, these are tough cats. And they were like, nah, man, girls, it's some anime. And I was like, they were like tatted out like gangsters, right? And I was gonna totally say, because they're like, she an anime. And I was like, man, anime has some street cred. This is great. And somebody's like, oh yeah, I got a question. Miss Lee, when you gonna get out of that coma? And I was like, oh, that's why they haven't called me. It's hard, and I never got out of the coma in this particular series. But it was like, they were like, when you gonna get out of that coma? And I was like in front of them, I was like, I don't know. It's such a great journey. And the other questions.
It was a really good edible.
You feel me now.
Overpowered.
Pain.
Yeah.
The pain, it's like, I don't know. And it's each time it's like a dagger to the heart, but
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it was a really bad car accident, man. It was tumbling, and they was like, I was like, oh, she ain't getting out of that. And I was like, I probably am not. Next question. We had a question back here, actually, too.
Yes.
hi, hello.
Oh, okay. So I love Seven Deadly Sins.
Yes.
My best friend here put me on to Seven Deadly Sins.
Good job.
Yeah. So I wanted to know if you guys could have a conversation in your voices on Seven Deadly Sins.
I don't know if we can have a conversation, but we can definitely say lines that we may remember or like, or maybe a bit, maybe. Oh God, okay, well I don't know if I can have a conversation, but I'll try.
As far as the lore, please be gracious with us. We recorded a while ago.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Melascula is she ever really listening to what you have to say?
I kind of don't either. I will take your advice.
I
But
think
at
you're
the end-
both strange.
I never open my eyes. Why is that strange?
Because you never open your eyes.
But when I do, they're very white and beautiful.
We appreciate beauty in this world.
We all know what's important. You gotta have faith.
Ah, that's awesome.
Come on, give it up, you guys. That was awesome. And you know what? This has been an amazing time. If you didn't get to ask your question here, please go visit them down at their tables. Let's hear it one more time for the cast of Seven Deadly Sins. We're gonna take a picture. All right, Pedro's gonna come on stage. We're gonna get a photo here.